So as it turns out, we will be switching gears this episode. Not only are we finally coming back to the late 2000s, we'll also be looking at what punk music was like during that time. Now, of course, throughout the decade, you had Billy Talent, Linkin Park, My Chemical Romance, these very edgy, dark, dramatic groups. Our band in question, Plain White T's, was nothing like that, at least from what I could tell with their 2008 album, Big Bad World. This was exactly the kind of music that you would hear in an Abercrombie & Fitch or Hollister or Aeropostale store. And us younger millennials, we were wearing these types of clothes. And then thinking about where I was personally during that time, I bought the album right when it came out. I was just entering high school. I had my first boyfriend, so I was the exact demographic for this album. Most of the lyrics definitely resonate with the teenage perspective as opposed to a more mature one. Something that I didn't pick up on at the time and only just did after revisiting the album is that some of these songs feel like they're speaking to groupies. In my case, it could be because I personally was never a groupie. At that time, I didn't even know what a groupie was. To be sure, this revelation didn't suddenly inspire me to become one, but I do nevertheless think and hope that these particular songs were describing and speaking to young women as opposed to teenagers. And of course, even older women if that's their thing. To the band's credit, the lyrics are handled quite respectfully. And while a lot of the songs don't have that much depth to them, I was actually surprised by how thoughtful a few of them are. You've got growing out of one-night stands and growing into relationships, taking responsibility for how you view someone and treat them in a relationship, and being there for someone when they've lost their way. Yes, some of it is preachy and on the nose, but to be honest, not that many rock musicians would even bother opening up like this. So I have to applaud the Plain White T's for that. It's hard for me to say whether or not the album aged well lyrically, because quite frankly, teenagers deserve to have their fun songs too. At the same time, they're perfectly capable of listening to songs with some more substance, so maybe we could say that it's a bit of a mixed bag and move on. If we're talking about the music and production value, on the other hand, then yes, the album has aged tremendously well. Even though Big Bad World is ultimately a pop rock album, the music is really where the band's indie roots shine through, especially in some of the meatier songs. These are all live recordings, so there's no layering, there's no artificiality, and you better start appreciating this stuff again, because if we don't spread awareness, pretty soon everything is going to sound fake. These guys were really ahead of the curve in that regard. The old school legends are right about this one, and we better listen to them. So, were the Plain White T's able to get away from Hey There Delilah? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4 from this album does still see a respectable amount of radio play. Despite them recording a bunch of albums since then, however, they're still pretty much remembered for Hey There Delilah. But hey, at least they're not a one-hit wonder. Even a couple of their other songs such as Hate and Natural Disaster have made their rounds. Plus, Hey There Delilah walked so that the likes of Ed Sheeran could run. It's a gorgeous and culturally defining song, so not a bad legacy, if you ask me. It's hard staying on top in the music industry, especially these days. And is it really even worth it? I'll leave you to ponder that question, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for listening.